Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is Greg Horn, and Mother's Day is approaching. By the time you listen to this, I hope that you've got your Mother's Day card. If not, you'll still have a day or two to get that. But I've got a guest with me today, Kathy Rutledge, with the Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn. It is actually based in Frankfort, Kentucky. And I know a lot of people with Mother's Day coming up. For some, it can be a bittersweet moment because of a lost child. And so we're hoping to bring some hope and tell about this wonderful, wonderful place up in Frankfort that I know personally friends that have been blessed and comforted by the Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn. So, Kathy, first of all, just thanks for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about this Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn in Frankfort. Why did we get this started? How did it get started, and how long has this been there?
The memorial was dedicated in May 2013. It is located in Frankfort Cemetery, and it overlooks, it's a fairly large granite memorial that overlooks the Kentucky River and some farmland. It's in the back of the Frankfort Cemetery, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It was I'm the founder of it, and we had many supporters along the way that I would share the story of what I was trying to do. And God just continued to add various donors and various support that helped establish this monument.
Well, I remember when it was being put together, and I think that's how you and I met several years ago. And, it took a lot of effort, but I know that a lot of people wanted to see this to happen because there really just wasn't a, quote, place for people to go that have been through this experience, is there?
No, there wasn't. I had an experience myself where many years ago when I was 18, I had made the choice to have an abortion and had lived with the consequences, the emotional effects that it had on my life. And I wanted to do a marker for my baby in a cemetery. And I chose a cemetery here in Lexington, and it's very costly, as most of you probably know, to get a plot and a marker. But I worked hard and I saved up money, and I went back to, it was my fifth time, and I was actually writing a check when someone tapped me on the shoulder, and I looked around, and next thing you know, I had handcuffs on my hands. So
really?
Yeah, that's right. It was quite a shock to my system, and I wasn't able to answer any of the officer's questions as he quizzed me about the circumstances. But I think just trying to express the emotions, I wasn't able to do that at that time. So I put this desire to do a marker for my child back in the recesses of my heart, and it went away for several years, but it came back in my life a few years later. And as some of you may know, there's different triggers that kind of make you remember this baby that you lost. And I had also had a miscarriage. And for those of you who've had miscarriages, I think you might be able to, this might resonate with you, is that you have this spirit, even though you don't recognize it as a spirit inside your body. And then when the baby passes away, you're just left with this void, as if something was there and it's gone, and you start grieving. But a lot of friends and family will say, "Oh, you'll have another one," or "Oh, it just wasn't the right time," or "Something must have been wrong with the baby." And you don't get that opportunity to grieve or find closure.
Well, and that's one of the things that I am finding as I get older, Kathy, is that we live in such a fast-paced culture that when we have a loss, and especially something of the magnitude of what you're talking about losing a child through miscarriage, through an abortion, just different ways to lose a child, and yet we just don't take time to grieve. It's like we got to move on to the next thing. And yet I had a friend that went to the Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn in Frankfort. It had been 50 years since she had had her abortion. And she knew God had forgiven her. She had asked that. She'd been a follower of Jesus for quite a while. But, and in fact, she'd actually had put one of the, bricks there in the wall there, made a donation, but she had never been. And a friend was kind enough to take her. And she went and she just said, I can't tell you. She said, God was there. She said, I just felt his love, forgiveness, even though I knew. So, man, I mean, I know that had to be your desire, and for all the people that had donated time to create that place where people could get healing.
Well, I think when you mention grief and not having the time to deal with it or the opportunity, one thing I learned about grief is that it doesn't go away unless you deal with it properly, and it can get buried under many types of activities, just busyness, life itself. So what we encourage people to do is to put a face to that grief, because sometimes people are grieving, mothers who've lost these babies. They're grieving, but they don't know they're grieving. They suffer depression, other issues. Different times of year become more emotional than they should at seeing a movie or something, which is what I would always do. And you don't know why your soul is grieving. But when you put a face to it, that this was a human life, this was a human being that didn't take a breath, but had a significant impact on your life. And often these circumstances affect an entire family. So it goes beyond even that individual person. And so what the memorial does on the granite wall, we have beautiful granite tablets from India. And they're allow a 2-line inscription on them. But you get to honor this baby that was never recognized by some. And it gives you a chance to give loving words of dedication. And it sets you free to love the baby as you would any other children that you have. And I think it gave me an opportunity just to release the emotions. So you're releasing not only your grief, but any, shame or guilt you might experience with an abortion you regretted, but also you're adding them to your family, because you will see these children again. And that's the hope, since your show is Hope is Here, that is the hope that this monument reflects. And it's very evident, I think, as you said, when you go up there, there's a sense that our Lord is there. And it's just, I consider hallowed ground, like most burial places that we have.
Yeah, well, it really was for the person that went and had such a great healing experience. If you're listening, you're like, wow, I want to check this out. I mean, it is beautiful. My friend sent me pictures and their website, Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn.org. That's KY Memorial for the Unborn.org. It's got some great pictures there showing you about the memorial. And my friend that went just said, it's located there in a secluded section of the cemetery. And so it's a chance to have a little bit of privacy and just to talk with God and just to express whatever emotions you want to, isn't it?
That's right. When we were seeking a site, we had some parameters that, we had set. And one of those was privacy. Another one was accessibility. And not, there's not much property out there that would meet all the requirements that we had, and we had looked at several sites, and people would disagree as to some would like it, some wouldn't like it. But when we found this site, every person on our committee agreed, and it was unanimous. It was just everyone was in agreement. It's just a beautiful site and has that privacy that it affords being in the very back of the cemetery.
Well, that's what my friend said, and I saw the pictures that they took, and then the ones on your website. It is just beautiful. I want to go see it myself. And of course, one of the people I know on your committee that I quote often on this program, in the year and a half that we've done this, was Wayne Smith. So talk about his influence in helping make this Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn possible.
I'd love to. Wayne became a dear friend of mine, and he was very instrumental in getting this monument established. When the desire first came to me, and I wasn't able, as I said, in the cemetery to do what I wanted to do, one cemetery manager said there has to be others that want to do this. So I started sharing, and out of 2 or 3 people that I would share with, they would mention, you need to call Wayne Smith. And about the 10th, time I heard you need to call Wayne Smith, I would be on my knees and I prayed. And I knew Wayne Smith, but I also knew he's a very busy man, and I didn't want to bother him with something like this. But I made this little pact with the Lord that if he would answer on the first ring, then I would ask him if he would like to be involved in something like this. So I got the courage up to place that call, and his wife answered on the first ring.
Really?
Yes, and I told her we had a fundraising event a couple of years later, and I told her about what I had prayed and what I'd said to the Lord, and she said when she and Wayne, this is his wife, when Marge,
Mm-hmm.
When she and Wayne got married, they made a decision together that they would always try to take the calls on the first ring.
Really?
They did not want to lose anyone. I had no idea that they had ever decided that. But, it was very interesting. So many things like that with this memorial. But from the get-go, Wayne was on board. I didn't have to get more than 2 sentences out that he said, this sounds like something we need. And he was in it from there, met with him many times at Donut Days, his office.
On Southland Drive, his office? Yep,
yeah, that's right. We ate a lot of donuts, planning some of the fundraising and some of the efforts to bring this about.
Well, he was a real champion. I can remember him. We were standing on Nicholasville Road. I think I was a college kid holding a sign up about trying to protect the unborn. And, it wasn't anything demonstrative or, yelling, just simply holding a sign. And I know Wayne's always had a heart and a passion for the unborn. So I was not surprised at all. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to help support this, is because I know how much it meant to him. And that's one of the cool things about being a part of this. When you do donate, it continues his legacy, and then for many other people too, doesn't it? So that's the thing. It kind of lives on after you're gone, right?
That's right. And right now we're trying to improve the access up the hillside to the memorial, and we're going to be building steps and getting a contractor involved, and that will be very soon. So we'll be raising funds for that, and always we're hoping to improve landscaping. Another opportunity is some individuals who want to do an inscription for their baby. Sometimes they always don't have the financial they need some type of financial assistance to do so. So we have donors that donate just for that, to cover the inscription cost for the engraver for someone who doesn't have the means. And that's another opportunity for individuals.
That's great. That's wonderful, because I know that was such a blessing to a friend of mine. So if people want to participate and want to help support financially, whether it's with some of this landscaping and just kind of updating some things, or with making it possible for somebody that's lost a child, what's the best way to make a donation?
You can make a donation through our website. We have PayPal online, or you can send it by mail to our post office box, which is on the website. We're also on Facebook. And then if anyone wants to contact me, my number is also on the website and on our brochure, which is on the website. So, feel free to contact us. Also, we're finishing our spring list for engravings that will be completed this summer. So if you would like to engrave an inscription for an unborn baby, please contact me. We'd love to include yours.
All right. Well, you can reach her with all of those wonderful opportunities at their website. It's Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn.org. That's KY Memorial for the Unborn.org. My name is Greg Horn, and Kathy Rutledge, the founder and executive director of the Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn, is our guest. So I hope you'll check out their website and be a blessing today to Kentucky Memorial for the Unborn.org.
Thank you.
CMI is your full-service human resources provider in Central Kentucky. For 15 years, CMI Human Resources has taken great pride in helping organizations and people work. Whether it's employee handbooks or help in filling a position, no job is too large or too small for CMI. Contact the professionals today at CMI Human Resources, 859-296-2800, or online at cmiconsulting.com.